So we're about to explore this really fascinating question about stress, and it's all based on the work of the neurobiologist Robert Sapolsky. It all kicks off with a feeling that, well, you probably know it all too well.
You know that feeling, right? It's 2 a.m., your mind is just racing, your body's all tense, and it feels like everything is on the line if you don't fall asleep right now. But consider this.
A zebra, it doesn't do that. It's not lying awake worried about its mortgage or some awkward conversation it had at the watering hole. Nope, its stressors are just completely different.
So, what can a zebra possibly teach us about stress and the way it affects our own bodies? Let's dive in and uncover their secret.
Okay, first, let's look at how the stress response is supposed to work. And for that, the zebra is kind of our perfect guide to what is, in a lot of ways, a totally brilliant evolutionary tool.
At its very core, the stress response is your body's emergency action plan. It's designed to temporarily knock you out of what's called homeostasis. That's your ideal balanced state, just for long enough to survive a real crisis before bringing you right back to calm.
And here it is. This is the fundamental difference. A zebra stress is a lion attack. It's an incredibly intense physical crisis that's over in just a few minutes. Our stress? It's the traffic jam, the deadline, the mortgage. It's that long, drawn-out psychological drip, drip, drip of modern life.
You see, the zebra's stress cycle is amazingly efficient. A lion shows up, the body unleashes this huge physiological response. That's your fight or flight kicking in to fuel a mad dash across the savannah. The zebra gets away, and, this is the crucial part, the response just shuts off. The danger's gone, and so is the stress.
All right, now let's bring it back to our world. Let's see how this exact same beautiful, life-saving system can get us into so much trouble. Now this is the absolute key. When you are sitting there worrying about a deadline, your body is activating the exact same life-saving machinery that a zebra uses to escape a lion. To your nervous system, a looming deadline can feel just like a predator pouncing.
But here's the kicker. The zebra escapes the lion, and poof, the stress is over. But our lions, the deadlines, the bills, they don't just vanish. Our minds keep that stress response simmering for days, weeks, sometimes even longer.
So, what happens when a system that was designed for a short sprint is forced to run a marathon? Well, it starts to break down, it turns on itself.
Let's talk about some key stress hormones, like glucocorticoids. In a short-term emergency, they are brilliant. They help you mobilize energy to deal with the threat right in front of you. But when they're constantly dripping into your system because of chronic worry, they become corrosive. They start to do damage.
Let's just trace one really clear path here. Chronic stress, it raises your blood pressure. Now imagine that high pressure is like sandpaper, just constantly scraping away at the smooth inner walls of your arteries. Over time, those little damaged spots start trapping all the gunk floating around in your blood, like fat and cholesterol. And that buildup, it forms this dangerous plaque, which clogs up your arteries. That's atherosclerosis, and it's a direct line to heart disease.
And the damage isn't just physical, it's mental too. And here's a wild paradox for you. Short-term stress can actually enhance your memory, which makes sense, right? You want to remember where that lion likes to hide. But chronic, long-term stress, it does the exact opposite. It can actually damage the hippocampus, a key memory center in your brain.
So this leads us to a really critical question. If we all face stress, why do some people seem to handle it so much better than others? Well, the answer, it turns out, is all about psychology.
There's a classic experiment that just makes this point perfectly. You have two rats. They get the exact same number of shocks. But rat A hears a little warning bell before each one. Rat B gets no warning at all. The result is incredible. Rat B, the one with no warning, develops way more ulcers. The physical stress was identical. It was the psychological context that changed everything.
I mean, the takeaway here is profound. Our mind, how we perceive what's happening, acts like a filter. It can either crank up the volume on a stressor's physical damage, or it can protect us from it. It's not just about what happens to us, it's about the story we tell ourselves about it.
So, what builds up that mental buffer?
Research points to these 4 key things: having a sense of control over what's happening, predictability about the stressor, having some kind of outlet for your frustration, and of course, strong social support. These are the tools that help us dial down the physical response.
Okay, so we get the science. Now for the most important part. What do we actually do with all this knowledge?
Look, let's be real. We aren't zebras, and we can't just get rid of mortgages or deadlines. The goal isn't to eliminate stress entirely, but to actually change our relationship with it.
See, the goal isn't to become a zebra. It's to become a wiser human. That same mind that lets us worry about the future is also the thing that gives us the incredible power of perspective, of finding meaning, and of managing ourselves.
So if there's one central piece of wisdom you should take from all of this, what would that be?
It really comes down to this. It's about developing the wisdom to know the difference between a real, actual lion and the traffic jam. It's knowing which threats demand that massive, all-out, life-saving response, and which ones we just have to consciously and deliberately learn to let go of.
You know, this core idea has been captured perfectly for centuries. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. That is the secret to thriving in a world full of psychological stress.